All right, what's up everyone? Kevin Leslie and talking about power per stroke. And I'm gonna take you to the board over here and I'm actually show you a workout that I like to do with a lot of athletes to get them thinking about, okay, that increase in rate, that decrease in split, that inverse relationship, and how when we increase our work, do we get an increase in productivity? In this case, a change in speed. Are we getting faster if we increase the strokes per minute? So I'll take you to the board. I'll show you a workout that I like to do to get athletes thinking about establishing a good sense of press at those low rates and then slowly building that up where now they have that change in speed and they can actually sustain it for a long duration. Let's go. All right, so before we start talking about power, a couple of things that you want to think about whenever we're starting to do power per stroke type work. We're really thinking about driving that flywheel and generating peak force. So a couple key focuses. Always got to maintain technique, right? You always got to think about how you're producing that power, not only from an efficiency standpoint, but also more importantly so that we don't get hurt when we're trying to perform max power type movements. So technique, maintaining that technique, especially under stress, very, very important. Number two, power per stroke. That's what we're thinking about today, right? Can we generate true force on every single stroke, right? When we start out, like we'll talk about those lower rates and we start to build it up, is there an increase in our productivity? And lastly, kind of the same thing, but rate goes up, split goes down. Is there an increase in productivity with that increase in work, right? Meaning power per, or meaning our rate. So what we're gonna think about, so it's 40 seconds on, a minute 20 rest. So 40 seconds of work, a minute 20 of active rest, right? I can't stress that enough. Active rest, where in that minute 20, we're thinking about our recovery. We're thinking about good flow through the body, good technique, right? It's minimal press, right? The press happens here in the 40-second block, but in that minute 20, it's an active rest where we're thinking about technique, right? You're gonna run through that 5 times. We're gonna do that 3 times through with 5 minutes of rest in between each set. So if you think about it, right? This is 2 minutes. This is a 2-minute cycle here, right? You're gonna run through that 5 times, times 3, right? It's a 30-minute workout plus the rest in between, right? So what's that, 40 minutes, right? After you warm up for a little bit. So now we come to here. First set, all at rate 20. Think about it like this. Can I start out at say 80%, then 85%, then 90%, then 95%, then full press, right? Think about it like that. All at rate 20, really trying to drive that flywheel and get a good grip at those lower rates. Next set, it's starting to bridge the gap a little bit, but you're still at those restricted lower rates. A lot of time on the recovery because we're pressing, we're driving so much, right? Power per stroke, a lot of time on the recovery as we force those lower rates and really think about our movement up the slide, right? So first two at 22, next two at 20, first two at 20, next two at 22, last one at 24, starting to bridge that gap in those middle rates. Last one, true rate ladder, starting out at rate 20, building up to 28. Can you get that increase in productivity as that rate comes down? Good way to think about it, right? Say at rate 20, you establish a baseline where, okay, at 90, 95, 100% press, I was a 230 split. I don't know, I'm just picking a number, right? But say I was a 230 split on average on this first set. Okay, well, when I get to this rate ladder, am I able to get that increase in productivity, right? 2 to 4 splits per increase in rate, right? The rate goes up 2. Can you get a 2 to 4 split jump in intensity, right? So we started out at 230, right? We're bringing it into upper 220s, mid 220s, lower 220s, under 220, right? It's just a way to think about it. Rate goes up, productivity, right? Or our split goes down, our productivity increases as we increase that rate. We're gaining speed, we're changing speed. That's all I got. Add it into your routine. If you like this information, like, subscribe. Really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.